Hi everyone, I'm Hilde. I love the fact that there's lots of familiar faces in the audience. But today I am going to talk to you a little bit about lost stock. So I'll share my screen. I wish I had the nice background as well, but we tried that yesterday. I looked like a smurf. I've got the rail bridge right outside my window, and I've now alphabetized all my books as a sort of, now it's a good background. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. Today, let me see if I can share this screen and play this presentation. Can everyone see okay? Yeah, I can see nodding faces and smiles. That's good. So my name is Hilde and I work at Mallzee and I now also work at Lost Stock. So I'm sure lots of you have already heard about Mallzee. I'm sure quite a lot of you probably have already heard about Lost Stock because in the last couple of months, I've been messaging people and saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to get back to you, but I'm really busy right now with Lost Stock. And everyone goes, oh yeah, I've heard of that. That's this amazing initiative that has started a few months ago to help people who are really impacted by coronavirus. So we all know that the last few months have been pretty difficult for everyone. Right? It's all been impacting us. We're all sitting in our home offices. There's a lot of sort of inconveniences to our days. But for us, for most of us, coronavirus has been an inconvenience. For many, many people around the world, especially people who work in the retail industry, where Mallzee works, where I normally work, it's been worse than an inconvenience. So I'm sure you've seen news reports in the beginning of the lockdown where people said, oh, look, we have cancelled our stock. We're just not going to take this stock into the shops because our shops are closed. So a lot of major retailers basically said, look, we are no longer paying for the stock that we've ordered and not paying the factories. So we read news with quotes like this: if coronavirus doesn't kill my workers, then starvation will. This comes from a factory owner who talked about to the BBC in Bangladesh in April. At the time, the team in Mallzee, some of us were on furlough, a lot of us were sitting at home thinking, what can we do to help? So, let me see, can I go to the next slide? $2 billion worth of clothes were cancelled in Bangladesh, which is a major number. So for all of you out there interested in fashion, interested in retail, interested in shopping, you know that what happened when the closed stores shut down, a lot of retailers just went, nah, we're just not going to pay. And that is not okay. For a country like Bangladesh and also other countries that are really, really reliant on clothing exports, this is a massive, massive problem, and it puts millions of lives at risk. So the team at Mallzee, me, and everyone else were sitting there going, okay, well, what can we do? What can we do to help? Sorry, I'm struggling to move the slides. But so this is the story a little bit about how we built something called Lost Stock. Lost Stock was built to enable consumers to sort of support garment workers because we all want to help, right? I'm sure all of you out there have been thinking, okay, well, what can I do? I want to shop local so I can support the shops that have had to close. I want to make sure that I can go and get that takeaway coffee as soon as my local coffee shop opens up again. We all want to help. So this is our way of doing it. Mallzee works in the retail industry. We have a lot of connections. We've spoken to a lot of manufacturers who said, look, we're having real problems because our normal suppliers, our normal retailers and brands and partners have just cancelled, and we have a lot of stock that we don't know what we can do with them. So we've brainstormed, as you do when crisis hits. You go, okay, how can we help? What can we do? So our proposal was, how can we connect consumers to support garment workers and also get a great deal on clothes? So a little bit about how it all works. And before we set up Lost Stock, we were thinking of a number of ideas, and I'm not going to say they were all brilliant ideas. There were definitely some quite out there, quite sort of, oh, okay, what can we do? But we quickly sort of narrowed down on a few possible options. We have connections with manufacturers. We were already talking to people about how, you know, how we can work closer with them, and we saw a lot of this up close. We're also pretty good at talking to people, so talking to users, talking to consumers. So when we looked at different ideas, we did a bit of sort of, what are the options here? So we landed on an idea, which was, you choose some preferences. You say, okay, hey, I like, you know, I'm pretty into pattern stuff, or actually I like quite plain things. I'm a, you know, this and that size, or and I've got a few sort of style preferences. So you get a few options. Then we then go and talk to factories who have had cancelled stock, well-known brands. We know of so many different brands, and I'm sure you've read in the media about some of these brands that have cancelled so much of this, these clothes. And we're basically working directly with factories about picking that, that stock up instead, negotiating a bit of a discount, and then what we then do is kind of put together a surprise parcel, which is great. Now, what happens then is that your parcels is packed up and sent over. It takes 6 to 8 weeks, which feels like a really long time, but actually, because trying to set up a completely new supply chain in a world where coronavirus is really impacting everyone, where safety measures are completely new. You have to, you know, ensure physical distancing at all stages. A lot of factories can only operate at limited capacity. You have to kind of make sure that all of the processes are followed, and there's delays for various reasons, but you know, it means that it takes a little bit of time, but at the end you get some great, amazing clothes that were destined for landfill. A lot of these clothes would normally have ended up just being burnt or going to landfill. So that is another motivation for us to start this. And the best of all, and this is sort of our motivation for starting it, is that we were able to go, look, we can put together a package that costs £35 in the UK. You get clothes worth about double that. And as part of that parcel, we get part of that price. We basically support a worker and their family for 1 week with food and essential supplies. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But that's really, basically, that's the 3 steps. And, you know, that means you get a great deal on clothes, you support workers because you're shopping for good, and you help the environment, which is also a really important part of this motivation for us. At Mallzee, we've always worked really hard to try and understand, okay, how can we help retailers get better? How can we help them reduce their environmental impact by sending lots of samples around the world, trying to buy stuff and kind of hoping for the best. So we're working, our data has been helping them with that. And now when we're seeing lots of, you know, tons and tons of clothes potentially ending up in landfill, we went, okay, this is something that we want to help address, because they're really cool. Like, they're amazing clothes, brand new items from really cool and popular brands. So we're excited about getting our lost stock items shortly. Now, basically, we're saying it's like buying a present for your future self. And this is something that is quite new. When we first thought about what are the different options we can do, this idea of a surprise parcel, personally, I was a little bit skeptical. I thought, okay, well, will people actually go for that? So what we did was, as we try to do, as you know, with everything we do, we try and figure out, is there something here? We tried to validate our idea. So we reached out to a few Mallzee customers, a few friends and family, and did a bit of sort of customer research and asked people, if you could buy a sort of surprise parcel for yourself, would you? And people said, you know, yes, because that's a very fundamental question. You don't really start with that. But so we asked a few things like, okay, well, how much would you expect in a parcel like that? What would you want to pay for it? What would be the sort of motivation for you? And we asked a bit about, you know, whether people were really keen on just getting a great deal, whether they wanted to support workers, whether the environmental factor was important. And we got quite a lot of feedback just kind of really early on, which helped us shape that that process. And we've seen now that we've had such a big take up on this, the motivation is quite different for a lot of people, but a majority of people are really in it to sort of do something good, helping out people, as well as getting really nice things for themselves. And this is, as part of the corona situation, our lives have all changed. Shopping has changed. I mean, I haven't been to a normal, like a shop. I haven't even been to a grocery shop, to be honest, for 3 months. I haven't been in a clothing shop. I'm currently having to buy maternity clothes, which is very exciting, but really, really hard to do without trying anything on. So all of this sort of stuff is completely new, and people seem to be very open for these new ways of shopping. So buying a surprise parcel for yourself, sure. And sometimes the best thing about it, you don't really know what you're going to get. You've also forgotten what preferences you chose. So when your parcel arrives, 6 to 8 weeks later, you're extra excited. So we think it's a win-win for everyone. Now, I've spoken a little bit about Mallzee before, and obviously the team at Mallzee are the ones who started this, but we've also collaborated with a lot of other people. So Mallzee knows the retail industry very, very well. We've used our connections, we used our knowledge about working with factories, but we've also had to bring in a lot of external expertise, because going from running a really powerful and popular shopping app, which has 1.5 million downloads, which is great, lots of retailers, we have 180 brands on the shopping app, and we provide data and insights to retailers about how they can improve their offering. We work really closely with the sort of the insights and data side of things. But that's not quite everything you need to set up a completely new global supply chain that brings in clothes from factories in Bangladesh and in India and a few other places that have been really, really hard hit by COVID-19. So it's been a massive team effort. Normally, I'm head of product at Mallzee. At Lostock, I've been doing customer communication. I have sent out, I think, hundreds of thousands of emails in the last couple of weeks. We don't really, we have a product backlog, but there's a lot of stuff that you have to sort of come up with on the fly. Our team, obviously maintaining Mallzee at the same time. So we're running our data, we're maintaining the apps, we're running marketing on that side, and also then really just embracing all the work that needs to be done with Lostock. So our team, we have worked really closely with external expertise. So we've had support from some amazing partners. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I also just want to say that, our data team has stepped up and done completely different data work. Our teams that work now on operations and logistics, working with, customs and packaging, all of those things, figuring out how can we do a really nice, environmentally friendly and beautiful packaging that people are excited to see when they get these parcels, and also kind of just dealing with all sorts of challenges that come up when you are selling hundreds of thousands of parcels and sending them around the world. It's been a massive effort, and I'm really, really proud of the team and everything that we've all managed to achieve together. And we've not done it alone. So we've partnered, and again, this has been insanely valuable. Being able to partner, so Royal Mail is a close partner of Mallzee already. Being able to kind of work with them has been really crucial to get this working. We've also partnered with other organizations. We've worked with some great influencer and PR agencies. So I don't know if you've all seen Mallzee in the media, but you've probably seen Lostock covered. We've had really, really insanely good coverage. So we've been featured in the BBC several times. And every time, if I look at the sort of traffic to the site, every time BBC covers us, we get a massive spike, which is really exciting. We've had social media campaigns in Australia. We've had media coverage in The Guardian and Marie Claire. One of our marketing teams got to live out a dream of actually hosting stories on the Marie Claire Instagram, which was amazing. So those kind of opportunities are things you go, wow, a couple of months ago, we didn't think that we would be able to do that. But again, we've had partners from accounting firms, we've had lawyers, everyone who's really, really supporting us has been really, really important. And one of our most important partners is the Sajida Foundation. So very early on, when we realized that this is something that we can do, we can bring products to people, clothes that people love, something that people want, but also as a really important part of that is to help people. When we thought, okay, well, what's the best way for us to manage getting that support, getting that the part of the money that we get in to people in the most need. So we talked about a few different options, and I know there's lots of really great initiatives happening in the last few months. We wanted to be really proactive, and we looked at a few different organizations, and Sajida Foundation in Bangladesh are an incredible organization. So they've been working for a few years, but in Corona times, they've really stepped up a lot of the work that needs done. So obviously people who have lost their livelihoods, either because, you know, there's a lot of women working in these retail factories, especially in Bangladesh, and they might be the only source of income for a family. So when a factory has to close down, when a factory temporarily has to not pay workers, or when people lose their jobs, you know, that really impacts a lot of people really, really hard. And being able to sort of protect yourself and your family against coronavirus has been really difficult for many. But Sajida are helping, and the way we are helping is that as part of every parcel, you give a significant chunk of the money, significant donation to Sajida Foundation, who now distribute food and essential supply of vouchers. Again, in the sort of spirit of, you don't really know exactly how to do things before you have to do them. We initially started off with saying, okay, yeah, we're going to do, you know, food parcels that will be handed out, food and hygiene parcels that will be handed out to families in need. That's what the Sajida Foundation were planning to do. But actually realizing that that is something that draws a lot of crowds when they're waiting for these parcels to be collected or to be handed out so they can collect them, that just provides another risk of infection. So they changed to do vouchers to families, and each lost stock box that you buy provides a voucher with food and essential supplies like hygiene products, etc. That supports a family of 4 for 1 week. And that we're really, really proud of that. I know that people in Bangladesh at the moment are getting that help that they're really, really desperately needing, and we're super proud to be part of that and to allow the work that we can do here in Edinburgh, in Scotland, to help people. And the great thing for us is that we have been able to enable a lot of people to actually support this type of work. So we started off with a target of selling 10,000 lost stock boxes. That was, I think we even said, oh, we should do this. We're able to sell 10,000 lost stock boxes by the end of the year. On day 3, we had sold 10,000 lost stock boxes, and we went, oh, okay. So that's amazing. So clearly we had hit, you know, with that limited market research that we did, with the press coverage that we got really early on, we really hit on a nerve that people wanted to help. They wanted to buy themselves, or, you know, a friend. A lot of people are also buying lost stock parcels for friends or family as a surprise. They wanted to do something really nice. And so we clearly hit, you know, that elusive product market fit. When we hit 10,000, we went, okay, is that it? Should we do that? That's what we had planned. That's the stock that we sort of had lined up and all that. But actually knowing that we can do so much more if we go further, we went on. So I'm delighted to say that it's been, you know, 8 weeks or so. We've sold 109,000 boxes. That means 109,000, either 109,000 families that are supported for 1 week, or 109,000 weeks worth of support, so that, you know, one family can get it for multiple weeks. But that is, I don't even know how to visualize 109,000 people, and that's actually 109,000 families, so there's even more than that. But we're not afraid of hairy challenges at Mallzee or at Lost Stock. Our new target, our new maybe unofficial target, is 500,000 by the end of the year, and I think, you know, we obviously need help to do that. So anyone who hasn't ordered themselves a lost stock box, please go onto our website and do it. We know that shopping for good is something that people are quite keen on at the moment, doing something that makes a difference. We know that the retail industry has struggled, and Mallzee as part of that, lost stock as part of that, want to do something that can make an impact. So that's what we're doing. Obviously, you can't really just stop with one thing. So we've launched lost stock for kids, which I'm excited about. So, you know, if you know children, and you know, they might be less fussy dressers, so they might be even more excited about getting a parcel in the mail just for them. We have already launched we started in the UK and the US, and we've also launched in Australia and New Zealand. Ireland has always been part of our audience as well, and now we're looking at other countries in Europe, for instance, so that's really exciting and brings on a number of different challenges that we'll tackle next week, I think. Very much all of this is you figure out the problems as you go along, and then you tackle them one by one. We started off with tops. Tops are easy enough to fit. You know, there was a lot of cancelled stock that were in the sort of tops, t-shirts, that kind of area, but actually we know that there's other items out there, so we're looking at different product types that people can buy, a box of dresses, for instance, so that's coming up shortly. And basically from, let's call it a scribble down idea at the beginning of sometime in March, I think, we started talking about this. We launched it on the 18th of May after just a few weeks of planning, and now there's 100,000 parcels being sent around the world, and we're looking forward to, you know, putting together more, sending them out more, and helping more people, which is really, really a major motivation for us. So I think that's it for me. I will stop sharing my screen, but please, if you haven't gone to the Lost Stock website, please do and have a look. And yeah, that's it. I think I'll stop sharing my screen and then we can do some questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Hilde. That was really interesting, and you've managed to achieve so much in such a short space of time, which is phenomenal. So we do have a few questions that have come in, if that's okay. So I'm going to pass over to Andrea, who's going to ask you some questions from the audience.
Yeah, so we've got quite a few questions that have come in. The first one is from Sebastian Mackay. He wants to know, do you get the clothing before it's branded, or do you have to work with the brands to get agreement on what clothes you can ship?
So that's a great question. Thank you, Sebastian. So a lot of the brands the brands that have cancelled their items, their products from the factories, they won't allow those products to be sold unbranded to others. So all the different factories will have their own kind of agreements with the factories. Basically what we do is, because we can't sell these as branded products, we will delabel them in the factories. So each factory, well, depends on the product, depends on the factory, but they have different processes to do that. But basically, it means removing the original label, not the care label and kind of those instructions for care and what it's made up of. And the exciting thing as well is that some factories were able to turn around really quickly and provide lost stock branded labels. So some people in their lost stock parcels will get just products again from the original brands, but not labeled with their brand, but some will even get with lost stock labels on them, which is really exciting. I hope that answered your question.
Fantastic. Actually, a follow-up question about the companies that you're partnering with. Alex Owen Hill has asked how you go about identifying and creating those partnerships with those companies, and whether you have any tips on doing the same.
So thanks, Alex. That's a good question as well. I don't know if you mean, so we've got two types, well, we've got many types of partnerships, but one, so a lot of the manufacturers and factories, that we work with are working in retail networks already. So in terms of identifying factories, we've done two things, which is using our existing contacts and networks to just identify. We've had people reach out to us really quickly when they heard that we were trying to get this off the ground, and saying, look, I've had lots of stock cancelled, what can you do? So then we go through a process of talking to them. So our expert buying team. And by the way, and I should have said this, I don't know if I mentioned it during the presentation, there's so much stuff in lost stock. I have no idea how it works. We've had to sort of really split up the responsibilities of everything. So the buying team are working in contact with factories, etc. For the other kind of partner organizations that have come and helped us, there's two things that we've done. One is actually just on the website. So we got a lot of media coverage and lots of people came to us proactively. So we put up a Google form. Where I'm sure as product people, we're all loving a good Google form and a Google spreadsheet, but we've actually just kind of managed a lot of incoming requests from anything from, you know, PR agencies to marketing companies to, you know, others who said, look, I want to help out. Is there anything I can do? And they come to us, which has been great. And then obviously using our sort of normal usual networks. And the biggest challenge is often to sort of just identify what is it that we need help with now and go, okay, does anyone know anyone who's really good at helping out with that? So, but I have to say again, a million thanks to all of our partners, because we couldn't have done this without them.
Great. Awesome. So we have a question from Yasmin Suleiman. She wants to know, how long do you expect lost stock to last? So when factories start picking up their contracts from retailers again, is lost stock going to keep going, or will it stop at that point?
Thanks for the question. Hi, Yasmin. So also a good question. We initially started and with our goal of 10,000 going, okay, well, that's it. This is a sort of temporary problem. The thing is that we actually knew about cancelled stock before the coronavirus pandemic really hit. So factories across the world will have cancelled stock from retailers in sort of normal times as well. Anything from, okay, well, they'd ordered lots of stuff, but it didn't sell as well as they thought. And this is some of the stuff that Mallzee is working really hard to kind of help with, to try and reduce the impact of that. So the idea came about partly from that, well, we know of a lot of stock that is already being cancelled. And then there was obviously a massive big hit of much bigger retailers doing it at a much bigger scale. Unfortunately, I would say that lost stock and cancelled stock is an ongoing problem. So we're trying to be a part of the solution for that. At the moment, we don't know how long we'll go for, but as I said, we're intending to kind of set this up as a sustainable business model that can keep running. And we know that as long as there is demand for the clothes, which we think there are, clearly by the sort of growth numbers we've seen, there is, and as long as there is stock available, then I think we're definitely in this for the long haul.
Wonderful. So I think we have time to squeeze in just one more question before we wrap up. So in terms of kind of the vision for the future, in terms of working on equity in fashion, are you considering working with any entities like Fair Trade Foundation or the Clean Clothes Campaign?
Excellent. So one thing that I didn't talk much about, which is almost ironic, because that's been one of my biggest parts of the project, which is a sort of, we initially called it the afterlife. So we know that when someone buys a lost stock parcels, when someone orders clothes they've never seen before, and the size guide is a size guide, but you all know how hard it can be to fit. So we know that some people are going to end up with clothes that they go, not quite for me, or that wasn't quite what I imagined for me. So one of the big parts of lost stock has been that we started calling it the afterlife, but I think that just sounds like ghosts. So we now call it impact, which means that your lost stock purchase can have a much bigger impact beyond just the clothes that you buy immediately. So we've partnered with organisations that you can donate to. So British Heart Foundation are providing kind of free posts so that people can take anything they don't want and just send it to them, which means that purchase has a further donation value. We're also working with some swapping platforms, so Swap and Swapped and New, who are in the UK and Ireland and another country as well. But yeah, so basically being able to kind of promote that circular economy and not just stopping there. Other partnerships, those Fair Trade Foundation and Clean Clothes particularly, they're not on my radar at the moment, but there's definitely one of the things that we're doing in the next couple of weeks as well is encouraging people who have ordered from Lost Stock to continue to sort of do good with their shopping. So we're promoting some discounts from ethical brands, etc. So there's lots of stuff in there. I would say, yes, there's lots of opportunities for partnership, for connections that we can do. So we will continue to look into those, and I'll take a note of those particular ones as well. There's a few more as well that is on our radar. So definitely. Thanks, Brendan.